Okay, we're going to use the calculator now to calculate the mean from a frequency table. All right, so let's enter this data into your calculator. So turn your calculator on, press the all clear button, let's get started. So first of all, you've got to put your calculator into stats mode. So these are the instructions I'm following. So put the calculator into stats mode. Now, if you've got the older calculator, you're going to press mode 2. The older calculator is the FX82, I think it is. And it's a calculator which some of you may have. Now, the newer calculator looks like this. This is the new calculator. It's the 100AU. Now, if you've got the 100AU, you're going to press mode and then 3. Now, 3 is just down here on the keyboard. 3. Done. Okay, so it's mode 2 for the old calculator, mode 3 for the 100AU, the new one. Then you should have these options up here. You want one variable, so you press number 1. Now, you should have a table set up here with 2 columns. If you don't, we're going to turn the frequency feature on. So you'll see in the second row here, we're going to go shift and then set up. So shift and then set up. And then the next instruction says press the down arrow. Now it says on the blue circular button. That's for the old calculator. But for the new one, just press the down arrow, which is down here, down. And see where it says 4 stat? We're going to choose that now. If you've got the old calculator, you choose 3 stat. But with the new one, it's 4 to select stat. So that one there, 4. And it says frequency on or off. So we want it on, so we're going to press 1. Okay, and that now everyone should have 2 columns. Okay, now we're going to enter the scores in the left-hand side first. Every time you enter a score, you press a number and then you press equals. Okay, so just watch. I'll put in 0 first, 0, then equals. You'll notice it's put a little number there, 1. Don't worry about that yet. We'll just put in the scores first and then the frequencies. So next number we're going to put in is 1. So you press 1 and then press equals. Then 2 equals, 3 equals, 4 equals. Okay, now we're going to put in the frequencies. So we need to use the navigation arrows here. So press on the right arrow and then press on the up arrow. Take it to the top. Now, by default, it has got a frequency of 1, which is correct, but we want a frequency of 3. So we're going to press 3 equals, and then 2 equals. So just entering the frequencies now, then 4 equals, 5 equals, 1 equals. Okay, so we put all the scores and frequencies now. That's all good. So we've done the first 3 rows of the table. Now we're going to, we're going to calculate the mean. Now, these are the instructions. We're going to press AC, which is all clear, done. Now we're going to press shift, which is this button here, shift, and then the stat mode is down here. It's just above the one there, it's in orange, so press the 1 there. Okay, and then it says press 4 for variable, so 4 for variable. Okay, and then press 2 to choose mean. So the mean is the X with the line above it, so press 2 there. And then you must press equals at the end, done. You should get 1.93 repeater for that. And that's how to calculate the mean from a frequency table. Okay. All right, let's move on. Now, your turn. What I want you to do now is to enter the data into your table. Okay. So we'll follow the same steps as before. Let's start off with the all clear. And just following the same steps as on the previous page, you're going to go to shift, setup. Sorry, that's not right, is it? You're going to go mode, then 3. It's already in stats mode anyway, but just starting from the beginning. Then 1, variable. There's your table. Put in your scores, 17 equals 18 equals 19 equals 20 equals 21 equals 22 equals. Now feel free to pause the video at any stage and work it out for yourself to see if you get the answer. Here's the answer in brackets there. So maybe if you feel you've got the hang of it now, just go back to the top now to put in the frequencies. So feel free to pause the video at any time. 3 and then 8 we're putting in. So we're just putting in the frequencies now. 20, 15, 11, and then 7. Okay, so there's my scores. We're going to follow the same steps as before. We press the all clear button. Okay, then we're going to go shift and then stat. 4 for variables. 4, we want the mean, which is 2, and must press equals at the end. So you get 19.6875 for the mean. Okay. All right, let's try calculating the mean from the list. Right, so let's clear that. And we're going to enter these scores in individually. So let's start off with the same sequence. It's already in stat mode, but they just get the hang of putting it into stat mode, then 3, then 1 variable, okay? And that will be, let's have a look. All right, so we're going to put 34. So 34 equals, I'm going to go 26 equals 22 equals 31 equals 32 equals 27 equals. So you're putting all the scores in. We're up to 26. 26 equals, then 27 equals 23 equals 28 equals 24 equals 28 equals 24 equals 27 equals. Okay, so we put in the 14 scores. Now we don't have to enter anything into the frequencies because they've all got a frequency of 1 because we've entered each number in individually and we're not using a frequency table. That's fine. So we're going to go through the same steps as before. So you're going to press all clear. Okay. Shift and then stat. And then we're going to press 4 again for variables. We want 2 and that's equals to the mean. You should get the answer of 27.07 approximately. Okay. X equals 27.07 approximately. And notice here that these are the old instructions for the old calculator. Remember, for the newer calculator, you're pressing mode and then 3. Yep. And here, instead of pressing 3, you're pressing 4 for the new calculators down here in this step here. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to do this question again, but we're going to do it without the 2 columns in the table. Okay. So if you go shift and then set up and then hit the down arrow, then we're going to choose 4 for stat and it says frequency on or off. We're going to turn it off. Okay. And that means when we go into mode and then 3 for stat and then 1 variable. See how we only get a single column now. So here we can enter them as a list. So we do it again. So 34 equals 26 equals, right? And you can continue that and go through the same steps and you'll get the same mean answer as before. Okay. So let's begin. So we've done that. So that's good. And we're going to move on to grouped data now. Okay, so the group data we're going to look at is on this page. Okay, so here's my group data. All right, so when you've got a lot of data, we don't want to put one score per row, because then you're going to have a giant table with dozens of rows. So what we do is we put the data into groups. All right, so we're going to do the same thing as we did previously. Basically, we look at the first group is 115 to 119. That's our first group. And we're going to be looking at group discrete data. Remember, discrete data is data that you count. So if you're looking at 40 boxes at a hardware store, the number of nails in each box is recorded. So we're counting the number of nails in a box. So because we're counting, it's discrete data. Because we're putting the data into groups, it's group discrete data. So let's have a look. So I've already completed the table for you. So we've got 5 boxes which had 115, any number from 115 to 119 nails. So if you come up to this data set, let's count just to verify that first frequency of 5. So let's count how many numbers we've got from 115 to 119. So if you go in the first row, none there, none there. Okay, so there's 1 there. That's 1. And then that's 2. So cross that off. And then that's 3. And then that's 4. And then that's 5 there. Okay, so you can see I've got 5 numbers which are from 115 to 119 in. So this is my group, 115. Anything between 115 and 119 inclusive, I count in that group. Okay, now if I was to go to the next group, I'd count how many numbers are in the 120 to 124 group. All right, and there should be 7, so we can verify that, and then we'll move on. So going through, counting for anything from 120 to 124. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3, there's 4 there, 5, 6, and then 7. So there's 7 numbers from 120 to 124. All right. Now, just so we know what these numbers mean, this number here, for example, that's telling me that in one box of nails, there were 141 nails. Okay. And altogether, there's 40 boxes, and that's why there's 40 numbers up here. Okay. All right. So that's how you do a grouped data frequency table. That's an example. Now, typically we choose the groupings so they're the same size. So you'll notice that the size of the first group is 5, isn't it? Because I can have any number from 115 to 119. Right, there's 5 numbers there. So typically we have groups of, say, 5 to 10. And the number of groups we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, we usually have at least 5 different, we call them classes as well. So each one of these is called a group or a class. Okay. So we're trying to have, when we're grouping the data, we try and have 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 groups. You can have more though. Now, each group is the same size, but it doesn't have to be. We can have groups of different sizes if you like. Okay, let's move on. So you can pause the video now, and I want you to fill in the table for this one. So let's just do the first row together. So we want to count how many are in the 30 to 39 group. So there's that one there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it should be 5 there. So put a frequency of 5. Yep. So pause the video and then complete the table. Okay, so you should have found that to be 6, and then 8, and then 6, and 7. Now, if you've done it correctly, right, all the numbers should be crossed off, and the sum of the frequency column here, the sum of all those numbers should be 32. Okay, 1, 2, there's 4 numbers in a column, there's 8 columns, so it's 32 scores there. Okay, so that's what we did then, is grouped discrete data. Now we're going to look at something called grouped continuous data. Now continuous data, if you remember, involves measurements. Anything involving measurements, so distance, weight, time, that's all examples of continuous data. So here we've got an example. We've got the speed of 40 cars on a road in Germany, and the results shown below for the cars. So one car was going 146.5 kilometers per hour, and another car was going 141.6 kilometers per hour, and so on. Now have a look at the groupings, because they're slightly different. So for grouped continuous data, you should notice that there are common numbers in the rows. So the first 2 rows, you've got 145. So you must be thinking, which group does the 145 go into? So if I find 145 in the table there, you got to think about which group that's going to go into. So here it is. Here's 145. Now, does it go in the first group or the second group? Well, have a look at the note here. It'll tell you. So the grouping of 140 to 145 means everything from 142 less than 145. So 145 does not grow in the first group. 145 would go in the next group, because the grouping of 145 to 150 means 145 to less than 150. So that means everything from 145 up to, but not including 150. Okay, so let's do the first one together. So we're going to count 140 to 145. So let's have a look. Now, so remember that 145 does not go in that first group, it goes in the second group. All right, so I'll just keep that as a circled number there. We're not going to put that in the group. So let's see all the numbers from 140 to 145. Okay, so you got this one, 1, 2, 3. You can keep tallies if you want to go. 1, there's a tally of 3 there. Keep track. And then there's another one, 4, put a tally. And then 5, and 6, and 7, and 8. Okay, so you only put little cross marks through that, and then 1, 2, 3. All right, so we've got 8 for the first one. Yep. Now, for the 145 to 150, the 145 will go in the next group. Okay, so we'll start off with, that's going to be our first number. So now 145 to 150, start here, 1, and then 2, 3, and we count this one, 4, and then 5. All right, so let's just do 5 tallies there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, and then we're up to 6, 7, and then should be 7 only. Yeah, it's just 7. All right, so you can pause the video now and complete the rest of the table. All right, so you should have got, if you've done it correctly, 7, and then 5, and 5, and then 8. Okay, so that's 7 there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 5 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 8 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now if you add that column up, all right, 8 and 7 is 15, 22, 27, 32. It should add up to 40. Okay, that's a total of 40 there. All right, technically we should put sigma f there equals 40. Okay, sigma f equals 40. There we go. All right, now that table that we just did there, some textbooks will have the intervals or the classes. Each one of these, each row is called a class. They might have it displayed like this. Okay, so just be aware that that table we did, the notation can be slightly different. All right, moving right along. Okay, so I want you to do another one here. We've got a group of students entered a long jump competition. So we're going to now get you to fill in this table. Now you got the idea. Okay, so pause the video and have a go at the table. Okay, so if you've done the table correctly, then you'll have 3, 7, 6, 2, 3. And that should add up to 10, 16, 18, 21. Okay, should add up to 21 scores there. Okay. All right, so now we know how to put the data in a table. Let's do something else with it. So we're going to learn how to find the mean and also something called the modal class. Now, we don't really know how to find the mode when the data is grouped, but we can say which group has the highest frequency. So the group with the highest frequency is called the modal class. So each one of these groups is called a class. So if you look at the first table, we can see that the class with the highest frequency is this one. Okay, so this has the highest frequency. So we say the modal class is 30 to 39. Right, it's the group with the highest frequency. So have a go at this one. What do you think the modal class for this one will be? You can pause the video if you like and write down what you think the answer is. So, well, here we go, 42. So this group here has got the highest frequency, so you say 160 to 165. All right. Now, what about the mean? Okay, so now for the mean, we actually need to use an extra column in the table called the class center. Okay, the class center is going to be a number which represents a whole group. Okay, so it's going to in fact be the score column. So for this one here, to find the class center, you're going to go 170 plus 175 divided by 2. Actually, let me just zoom in a little bit there. Let's try that again. I'll put it in red, it might be a bit easy to see. Okay, so we're going to go 170 plus 175 divided by 2. And that should give you 172.5. Okay, so that's the class center. So this number here, we're going to say represents this group, right? For the next one, 175 plus 180 divided by 2. That's the next class center. That's 177.5. Okay, and we keep going. So we basically just add the end values together. So 180 plus 185 will be 182.5, and 185 plus 190 divided by 2 will be 187.5, and then 190 plus 195 divided by 2 is 192.5. 0.5. Right, so these are what we call the class centers. They're a single number which just represents that group, a particular group. Now we've got numbers in an x column, and we've got the frequencies. We can now do the fx column, or the f times x. Remember, it's f multiplied by the score x. So you're going to take the frequency and multiply it by the corresponding class center. Okay, so work out what 3 multiplied by 172.5 is. Should be 517.5. Okay, and then we're going to take do the next multiplication. So you're going to take the frequency, you're going to multiply it by the class center. So 8 times 177.5, and that's going to give you 1420. There we go. And you're going to continue that process. So the next one will be 5 times the next class center. Okay. And that should be 912.5. And that continues that process. It continues 2 times 187.5, which will be 375. And then 2 times 192.5, which is 385. Now, you're going to add up the totals for each of these columns here. So let's do the fx column first. If you add all of these numbers up, so all of these numbers here, it should add up to 3,610. You can double check it. And then if you add up the frequencies, you should get 20. All right, so now we can use our formula to calculate the mean. So the mean, which I'll do down here, using our formula, it's the sum of the fx column, which is 3,610, divided by the total of the frequency column. Okay, so that should give you 180.5. Now, because this is group data and we're not using the individual scores, technically this is an estimate of the mean. Okay, so we should be using approximations. So we should say the mean is approximately equal to 180.5. Okay, and the reason for that is we don't actually know the individual scores in this data set. All we know is how many numbers are in a particular group. So I know that there's 3 numbers in the first group. I don't know what those numbers are. What I've done is I've approximated those numbers with the class center. So because we don't actually know the real scores in our calculation, that means our average is only an approximate. Okay, so that's how to find the mean from a grouped data frequency table. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So now this is your turn. So I want you to pause the video and complete this table. Okay, so all right, so pause the video. All right, so let's begin. So let's do the class center first. So you're going to go 130 plus 134 equals, and then divide by 2, so you should get 132. And then you're going to go 135 plus 139, all divided by 2. That's 137. And that keeps going. Okay. Right, now we're going to find the fx. Okay, so the fx will be 3 times 132, which is 396. And then we're going to go 7 times 137, 959, that is. That continues. Now, if you're wondering how I'm doing this so quickly, I've already worked out the answers previously. So, okay. Now, you've got to find the total of each column. should get 5,815. And then that's 40. Okay. Now, because we are approximating, because it's group data, this is an approximate for the mean. We can't get the exact mean, so this is just an approximate. Okay, so that'll be work out to say 145 to 1 decimal place 0.4. Okay. All right, so try the next one by yourself. You can pause the video if you like. All right, so adding the endpoints here, 10 plus 19 is 29, divided by 2 is 14.5. 20 plus 29 is 49, divide that by 2, 24.5. Okay, so that keeps going. 34.5, 44.5, 54.5, 64.5, 74.5. Okay. Now, next step is you're going to work out the FX column. So you've got to take this number and multiply it by this number. Okay. So 4 times 14.5 is 58. Yep. 10 times 24.5 is 245. So you continue that down. Now pause the video anytime so you should get your own practice. Then keep going. 516 and 74.5 for the last one. Okay, so find the totals of those columns. So you should get 3390. Okay, and then that should be 80 there. Okay, now let's work out the mean. So pause the video if you like and see if you can work out the mean for that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is work out the mean. Okay, so all right, so you should get 42.375. Okay, now again, because this is group data, the mean will always be an approximation. You'll never be able to get the exact mean, okay? Because we're not using we don't know the scores in the data set. We just know how many are in each group or in each class. Okay, so that's how to find the mean from a grouped data frequency table. Okay. Now let's go to the last bit, which is group data with stem and leaf plots. Okay. I think I might just pause that there. Okay. Okay, there's my calculator. And okay. And let's stop that.